acts as the principal of the 1958 Mutual Defence Agreement between US and UK on nuclear matters. During his secondment, he remains Professor of Nanotechnology at the University of Cambridge. And let me submit, in the morning I was sitting in the plenary session and listening to the presentation. It's a really eye-opening presentation for all of us. To my right, we have Hiran Vedam, who is a commercialization expert specializing in technology-based companies in materials, welding and energy. She combines her experience in technology, business, IP and finance to provide venture capital companies and SMEs with deal sourcing, due diligence, business development services. She provides strategic policy support to governments and maintains the Singapore nanotechnology ecosystem map as part of the Sing Nano initiative. Prior to her current role, Hiran was a senior manager, industry liaison at the National University of Singapore. There she was involved in spinning off companies, licensing technologies to commercial companies and in business development activities to promote collaboration between the NUS and industry. Prior to joining NUS, Hiran founded and managed Mastrika Pte Limited, a wireless applications company, and fostered the establishment of Honeywell's R&D center in Singapore. Hiran has a PhD in chemical engineering from Purdue University, MBA from INSEAD and BTech from the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. We have with us Dr. Ambika Prasad Munda, who is the head of UNDP of Odisha and Jharkhand, and we have Dr. Jia Rao, which is head of the department of the Department of Agriculture and Biotechnology, Odisha University and Agriculture and Technology. Now, you can see from the profile the expertise of our panelists this afternoon. Everybody is sitting here by their own credence and credibility established in the world. The topic which we are going to discuss is very different than what we are doing in the morning. In the morning it was a highly hard scientific research work done by the brilliant scientists of the country. And I'm very amazed and also surprised and grateful that organizers thought that this technology we are doing is fine, but how this technology is going to address the huge problem of this country of poverty. You know that the country is growing at a rate of 8 to 9%, but the poverty has also not increased. Still today, unofficial estimate says 50 crore plus people is below the poverty line. There is a social unrest in many areas in this country, and there is a problem and crisis in education, environment, health, women and child development, and in these areas, how to really take this nanotechnology and take it to the commercialization aspect of that into the growth and development in a faster manner. While the middle segment of the Indian population is growing very fast, but a large number cannot really go to the areas of education and maintaining a good health. So, in our view, the government has also done its part, but how much it has done, we'll see later. 2001 and 6, government has spent 60 crores in doing research and institutional building in nanotechnology and nanoscience. 2007 onwards, we have allocated around 1100 crores. But the poverty dimension, if we can touch something in that, the technology can help us, the science can help us, then we will make a leap forward and will surpass everybody's growth rate in the world. So thereby, this panelist will address the issues of can we address poverty, how to go about that. And we have seen the speakers here. Sir is already advising government. There is a big holistic understanding. He knows India well. And Dr. Ambika Prasad is managing programs as a state head in 2 states, understands better. We have Hiran Vedam doing the commercialization of the science into business venture deal making. So I have decided that in consultation with the speaker, we will spend 10 minutes on the subject. Individual speaker will give the lecture. Then once the lecture part is over, it will be open to you. You give the questions to the panelist and the panelist will answer. We will complete the whole process by 4 o'clock. Thank you. With this, I request sir to initiate the discussion from your side.
Okay, well thank you. I will just make four observations. One is to do with nanotechnology itself. I think it's important to recognize that ever since man has used technology from 5000 BC, it has done so with increasing sophistication. And one strand of evidence of that sophistication is the size of the technology that man can make structures with. So you think about miniaturization, all around us we see miniaturization, whether it's in mobile phones, in your cars, in satellite technology, whatever it is, we see miniaturization. And that's simply evidence of the evolution of technology. And that evolution in terms of making things smaller and smaller has reached a limit, and that limit is nanotechnology. It's a limit because there is nothing smaller than the atoms and the molecules around us that is relevant. So nanotechnology is a natural evolution of the technology development that mankind has seen over the past thousands of years. And it means that we are in a position, not in a specific area, not say in mechanical engineering or in aeronautical engineering, but we're in a position where we can understand nature around us, we can understand the behavior of materials, the behavior of plants, the behavior of animals, and we can develop new technologies based on that understanding at the nanometer scale, which is where the word nanotechnology comes from. So in that sense, nanotechnology is not a single technology, it is simply a recognition of the fact that in general technology has reached this evolutionary phase of ever smaller, ever more precise. And in that sense, nanotechnology will not apply to one area, it will apply to many different areas. There are new types of paint which are nanotechnology based, there are new coatings for glass, there are new tennis rackets that you can already buy which have got nanotechnology based materials in them. There are batteries that have got nanotechnology built into them. There are aircraft, military aircraft that are flying and have got nanotechnology built into them. So nanotechnology is just a tool. It's a tool in our toolbox that allows us to do things with ever greater precision, and it will apply in many, many different fields. And that in itself is a challenge. It's seductive to think that nanotechnology is a technology in its own right. It is not. It is a technology that can be applied very widely and that will have very wide and deep consequences. The second point I want to make is about responsible introduction of technology. I was once told that if Henry Ford, who invented the motor car, had to do a health and safety audit, a health and safety analysis of the consequences of a motor car, being driven down a street at 40 miles an hour with pedestrians, animals within a few inches of the car, he would never have been allowed to develop it. In the past, we have introduced technology without thought for the consequences. Not just on the consequences of how it might be used. All technology can be used for good or bad. A hammer can be used to make a building, and it can be used as a weapon. So we have technologies need to be thought of not simply as an object, but how it sits in society, what its consequences are, what its long-term introduction will require. So thinking about batteries, for example, it is unacceptable that lead-acid batteries in cars are broken up manually by people, normally people in poverty, and are exposed to fumes and sulfuric acid and lead. When we design new technologies, we need to think about the very long term, the end of life scenario of that technology. How do we recycle it? How do we take the technology apart at the end? So we need to have a responsible attitude to all technology introduction, aid in eradicating poverty. You need to have political intent as well as commercial drivers. And finally, beyond political intent, you need to have policy that backs up the technology and how it is applied. So I think you're not going to resolve poverty with nanotechnology. It provides another opportunity, another technical solution, another potential method by which some aspects of poverty can be affected, remediated, but it will require, way beyond the technology itself, all of those other issues that I've mentioned in order to make a true and effective difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Velan. This is a well exposition done on the subject. Let me, before I proceed, let me introduce Dr. Dhananjay Kumar Tiwari, sitting in the panelist, Program Officer in the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. We are privileged to be also when he speaks. I would now request Dr. Ambika Prasad. Give us a macro level view on how do you look at and where is the opportunity for the nanotechnology coming.
Thank you, Chair. Am I audible? Can you hear me? I know it's a post-lunch session, so it becomes a real challenge to keep the audience active in the discussion. And I can see that also. So I draw your kind attention, to speak next to an experienced person is a huge challenge. But nevertheless, I will keep my eyes and ears open so that you are with us. Friends, I work with United Nations Development Program, which primarily draws its strength from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It means that each and every person on this earth has a right to live one's life with dignity. But over the years, the technology since its innovation, so very recently we have been discussing about what is called as the digital divide. The third generation of rights talks about primarily if the rights of the people are being violated, they also have a right to form association and negotiate with the state. So that to raise the voice of the poor and marginalized, so the constitution of various countries will provide them adequate democratic space to facilitate that. But we know how it is happening. India is definitely making strides in that respect. And the fourth generation primarily talks about environmental justice. It means we cannot spoil the world only because of our need. We have to protect it for the future generations. This is primarily the fourth generation of human rights that directs or guides UN to have its program. Since when Dr. Parjosi gave me this invitation, I was just trying to figure out what to share. In 189 member countries, they came together and had a declaration called the Millennium Development Goal, MDG, popularly known as MDG. These are primarily the commitment of the states to its citizens, and UN's job is to monitor that, whether it's happening or not. But after some years, we found people started asking us, how is MDG happening? I said, come on, this is not our mandate. This is the mandate of the state, and it's a commitment to its people. If it's not happening, then you must raise it. I'm just sharing about the cultural context how the technology should play a role. For example, when you see 40% of the 47% of the total population in the context of Odisha are below poverty line. Why are they below poverty line? Don't we have significant money going to the district and being spent? If you see right now at all the district level, we are not spending less than 500 crores. It's 5,000 million Indian rupees we are spending at the district level. But why so much of poverty? Are we able to create that kind of democratic space where the poor and marginalized can come forward and share what they need? Or we plan as per our wish and take it to the people. Ultimately, they don't own it, and we see a lot of this deficit, development deficit. If you see, like when we have been trying to come up with monitoring of the programs. You have a lot of programs where technology can play an important role. If the school is not functioning in a remote village, even though there are teachers, if they are not coming, can we come up with some kind of technology that mobile service providers, we had a discussion with them. They were quite keen. I think one of our panelists would definitely talk about how commercial private partnership would come forward in that respect. But if you are guided only by the profit motive, then there is a problem. We see in government there is public action for public benefit. In the corporate, it's private action for private benefit. But the non-state actors, academic institutions, who primarily works on knowledge innovations, try to make some kind of private initiative to have impact on the public domain. But it is not happening because somehow, that's what we are saying, that this digital divide currently is not able to reach out to the poorest of the poor who lives in a remote area. How can we? Be it any the current existing technology or the way Professor was talking about the nanotechnology, which would be a much higher and advanced form. If it is not going to address the need of the poor and marginalized, any amount of innovation on this earth would never ensure peace for everyone. Would never ensure peace for everyone. If we all are not safe, it cannot be if part of the population would be able to maintain themselves in a very safe haven. It's not possible. That's why we see a lot of these extremist activities, left-wing extremist activities coming up, because people are, they are staying away from the development process. That's how they are like speaking out in various forms, which is not acceptable to any kind of civil society. But friends, technology has made a significant contribution in the case, especially in the case of Orissa. Orissa faces a lot of disasters. In terms of disaster management, currently we have been providing support to the government of Orissa, where they have come up with 6 layers of communication. Like if we see a kind of low pressure is being formed, which is taking shape of a kind of cyclone or a storm, then we need to provide information early warning to the people. So if the technology is not used to save the life of a poor who lives in a remote area, you still justify that kind of technology would have relevance in this society. So coming up with a technology is not just the answer. If you are not able to bridge the gap or make it happen for the poor and marginalized who are voiceless, think about it. Like, don't you think a poor tribal woman doesn't feel equally bad or equally stressed when her child is suffering from some kind of disease but doesn't have access to medical support? Can you think of coming up with a technology, even if that person lives in a remote area, would still have access to the medical support? Can you think of that? What has happened, like most of the cases, what we have seen, knowledge workers, I also come from. I aspire to be a professor because I have a PhD also in economics. But what has happened with all academic research, we have only added to the body of knowledge. If we are making significant contribution in making this humanity to live life better, why there is more than 40% population below poverty line? Can we think of it? And only young people can think of it and raise your voice. If you don't speak out, everyone lives for oneself. If you can think about the poor and marginalized, think about your own village or the society you come from, if you can think about doing justice through any kind of technology so that you can raise smiles in the faces of those people who are suffering, who are deprived, and who are still to be part of the mainstream living.
Part of it. And actually there is no reason if a country can grow at 9%, why so many people will be left behind. So thereby to address this issue, that is I request Hiranmai Vedam to give a view on this matter. How to really address this poverty?
Sure. Nanotechnology research, can you give me? Research is not particularly cheap, and to develop products that are applicable to any particular market, whether it is the bottom of the pyramid or the top of the pyramid, is and Professor Gallard referred to safety concerns related to nanotechnology and responsibility, how we have to deploy this responsibility. Now, who pays for this? There are two ways. One is the government. I mean, governments around the world have spent millions and billions of dollars in nanotechnology research. But research will get you only to a certain distance. Beyond that, you need commercial investors